Everyone appears for campus interviews with a big hope. Regardless of the job offered, everyone prefers campus placements. Now, I'm not saying that they are bad. They are definitely a great thing to jumpstart your career, but there are a few things which are very rarely talked about, and a lot of things about your career depends on those things. So it's really important for you guys as a fresher to understand those things, and post that whatever you choose is purely your choice. So if you're interested to know what really goes behind the scenes in hiring a fresher, the job offered, and the packages which sometimes sound big enough for freshers, what's the reality of that? Do those packages are really big enough or good enough, or they just seem to be good enough? So if you are interested in knowing all that, stay tuned. Welcome to Corporate Diaries. Welcome back, guys. So let's start with the list right away. And the first and most important point is that every role offered is not gold. We'll start with this point and later we'll discuss on the package part, whether the package offered is really what it seems like or there's something behind the scenes happening there. So first we'll start with the point of job role, that every role offered is not gold. Most of the companies who hire in bulk during campus placements are mostly services companies. For example, your Infosys, TCS, HCL, Accenture, and many more names like these. So these companies hire in bulk because they get projects from product companies like Microsoft, Google, your Intuit, Ola, Uber, Make My Trip, and all these product companies. They outsource their projects to services companies to save cost and time. Now this is a very detailed concept why they do so and why people are paid less in services companies. I have already done a video on this, so do check that out to understand the whole concept. So the point is, these projects can vary from a good project to a copy paste kind of project or just a data entry kind of project. And most of the freshers are not aware about it. Even if they land into such brands, services companies brand with such projects, their future growth will be compromised. And by the time they get to know or get to understand all this concept, they are already 2-3 years old in that particular company. Now it's not that you'll not get any job after that, but it's just that you will not be paid well. The freshers will not be paid well, and then they will see a drastic difference between the pay to their colleagues who happen to join any company, maybe a smaller company with a great project, and eventually over a period of time they scale so much in terms of their packages in comparison to the people who got placements in their colleges, because everything depends on the kind of project or kind of skill set that you're working on. What is the market value that skill set holds? The brand do matter sometime in which you're working, but if the project is really good, then it hardly matters where you work. That project will always be valued in market and will be paid much more than somebody who has worked in a big brand but worked on a relatively not so great project or a copy paste kind of project. So here comes your action point during the time of campus placements. You have to make yourself aware as much as you can. Don't hesitate to ask questions during your interview when you are meeting that technical manager or during the HR round. If you are not fully satisfied with the job description and it doesn't give you the sneak peek into day-to-day activity of that person who's in that role, then please make sure that you ask enough questions to those people until you reach to a situation where you understand the role well and you are sure that this is a good job role. Most of the companies, when they come for campus placements, they do a presentation of their company, their products and services. Make sure that you don't miss that presentation. I have personally seen students bunking that presentation. I know it sounds boring, can be long enough because so many companies do that presentation, but pick the companies wherever you choose to sit for interviews and make sure that you go through those presentations, because these are very important. Those presentations will give you a sneak peek what's the product and services offered by that company, and by knowing that you can get some understanding what kind of project the companies can have for freshers. Don't be afraid to ask questions during the interview or during that presentation. It will only add up to the maturity that interviewer can see through you. They will get to know that you are really serious about your careers. That's why it's very important for you to know what the job role really is. So make sure that you make yourself enough aware about the job role that you don't miss out on these things. And if you ask my honest opinion, if it is a copy paste kind of project, it's better that you go for some other company which is relatively smaller product company but have a great project to work on. Yes, it will be challenging. There will be nobody to guide you. You'll have to do everything from scratch by yourself, but nothing like it. It will add so much value to your future growth that in starting you may sound like you're earning low, but eventually over a period of time like 2-3 years, you'll skyrocket your pay in comparison to the people or colleagues who went through that placement and joined that big brand on copy paste kind of project. Now moving on to second important point, and that is the package. Now here I'll not talk about paymaster companies who pay really big to freshers as well. I'm talking on generic terms, that most of the companies which sounds like paying a good enough package from a range of 4 lakhs to 6-7 lakhs, or maybe from, I should say, 3.6 lakhs. I'm not sure if that's counted as a good enough package. Do let me know in the comment section below what's your good enough bracket. So these packages may sound good enough in starting, but the reality is companies are not fool. Why will they pay that amount to a fresher who is purely non-productive for at least 2-3 years? So that much time and effort is required to bring them to the level of productivity. So why would a company give you a good enough package or a big package to train you further? So what these companies do, they calculate your package on basis of 3 years. I know that sounds absurd, and you will say no, the package they offer is per year. Definitely, the package they offer is per year. These companies are smart enough to arrive at that number after taking into consideration your cost for next 3 years. Yes, they will offer you that package per year, like they have offered you 5 lakhs per year, but for the next 2 years your hike will be very minimal. Say for example 2% or 4%, or if you are lucky enough 5-6%. And you can calculate how much that would come. Very minimal. You'll hardly see a difference in your take-home salary. More than that, your rent will be increased. If you're living in metro cities for these jobs, your rent will be increased from anywhere from 5% to 10% every year. On the other hand, if there is a company which is relatively smaller but have a great project, but because of the funding and a smaller setup can't give a fresher more than 2.4 lakhs, chances are these kind of companies, I'm telling you from my experience, these kind of product companies pay you much more hike, anywhere between 20% to 50% and even more. And you can scale in next 2-3 years much more than people who got placed in big brands. So I'm not advocating joining smaller companies. I'm just saying whenever you are sitting for placements, make sure you understand what is the increment rate per year for freshers in the company where you are appearing for interview or you have been shortlisted. If you have multiple offers in your hand, evaluate them basis this, because if there is a trend of paying just 2 to 5% of increment every year to freshers, then there is no point. So here I'm emphasizing on the same thing again. Ask questions. You can ask this question to HR as well during the HR round of interview, that what's the increment rate every year for freshers from a top performer to an average performer, and then you can choose accordingly. Moving on to my next point, which is again very important, the clause of probation period in your offer letter. Please make sure that you ask this question without fail. You are not a permanent employee of any company if there is a clause of probation period. Till the time the probation does not end, you are not a permanent employee and you can be kicked out of the company even without notice, or a notice as short as 7 days or 15 days. So it's very important that you understand what is the clause of that company for probation period. Also, you'll have no entitlement to the benefits of the company during that probation period, like medical insurance and other leaves benefits. You can hardly take at max 1 leave per month during that period. So if there is a clause of probation period, make sure that you have enough confidence in your skill that you know you can prove yourself through that period, because if you will not, they are going to be fast enough to kick you out of the project or out of the company. The probation period can be anywhere between 3 months to 9 months, and the whole funda of keeping the employee initially on probation period is that they can check you thoroughly on your skill set during this period, and if you are not capable enough and if you couldn't prove yourself, they will just can get rid of you soon without paying you or spending much on you. I know that's kind of harsh, but that's how it is. So make sure that you understand that clause well and then choose your offer accordingly. And coming on to my last point, which is, even if you are placed in a great project in a great company, you can't take it for granted. After joining the company, if you spend your time being careless or being overwhelmed or just roaming here and there with your friends, discovering the office space or doing something which is not relevant to your project, then it will create a lot of trouble for you. They start losing that seriousness. They don't take the trainings, the sessions very seriously, and that kind of attitude can land you in trouble. Before you realize, you will be degraded to a not so good project, or you will be out of the company. Yes, that's the reality. You have to continuously prove yourself. You have to continuously showcase that zeal to learn and that attitude to perform. On the contrary, if somebody is hired for a not so great project, say for example is hired for a copy paste kind of project, but that person performs really well through the training, the attitude, the behavior, the attendance as well, the ratings post that evaluation of the training is really good, and he kind of shows a very professional behavior, speaks to people, to the managers of different teams, and showcase his interest towards something really great, a great project, then chances are will be shifted to a really good project because of his attitude and the way he takes his work, the seriousness and dedication that he shows towards work. So it's very important that you don't take things for granted, that if you are placed in a great company, great project, then you are done, like your job is done. No, the job starts from there. So count every day as a new hustle and perform to the best of your abilities to prove yourself better than others, and make yourself aware of the whole scenario before you decide to take up any job. So guys, these were my 4 main points that I wanted to share with you all, so that you can be more aware and can take more informed decision in your career, or rather early in your career, so that you can come out as a successful professional being. I hope you learned something new today, and if you did, make sure that you hit that like button so that video can reach more people in the algorithm and more people can benefit from this. Thanks for tuning in guys. I'll see you in my next video. Till then, stay safe and healthy. Take care. Bye.